on Chat and Spin Radio in the UK is 4:59 p.m. and we have our next guest on the line now. Who's calling and where are you calling from?
Good evening. You're speaking to Gift in Yadike, calling you from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Gift, welcome to Chat and Spin Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're an author. You've written 3 books, but there's one book that you want to talk about right now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So this was my debut novel back in February. Yeah. I call it Vator, Feel Free to Die. So basically it's a paranormal crime thriller about a violent vigilante in a crime-ridden city called Scotch. So it kind of follows him going around and eliminating large groups of criminals, very prominent ones in the city, and this scares the populace. It puts everyone in a frenzy because Scotch is basically ruled by its criminal underworld. So now everyone's like, so this guy can take everything on. So some people are happy about it, other people who've been benefiting from it are upset about it. So it kind of divides the city and almost causes a sort of civil war, quiet Cold War kind of.
Right. I wouldn't give too much away. You don't want to tell people about the end of it. Not just they've got to read it to find out the end of it, haven't they? Now that book, along with the others, if people want to purchase it, where do they go?
They're all available on Amazon.
What inspired you to write that book?
Okay, so for this particular book, for the setting, I based it loosely off of Gotham City from the Batman franchise, Derry, Maine from Stephen King's It, and Johannesburg, right here where I am. So Gotham City, it's like a very horrible place. Derry, Maine, it's where people are completely oblivious to the monster and the evil that exists in there. There are children disappearing, but people ignore it. See, here in Johannesburg, where I'm living, it's actually a beautiful, boring city, but it's got a dark side. There's some really dark places. I used to hear stories about my schoolmates. They'd be walking home from school and they'd be robbed. They'd be robbed outside of a primary school and with cars passing by. Sometimes I hear about one awful crime after another, and I think, if only there was something out there that could actually do something about this. And not in the superhero kind of way, okay? Like not like a Superman or a Batman or a Spider-Man kind of way, like a full-on like Punisher, like the Punisher, just go out there and take them all out. Of course, I understand, the various nuances that come into place, why people choose certain life choices, of course, but it's still an interesting thing I talked about. The character of Vator, the protagonist of the story, I took inspiration from Batman, the Punisher, Michael Myers from the Halloween series, Eric Draven from The Crow, Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rizzo from Ninja Assassin, as well as a couple others, like minor.
Right. Now, if people want to contact you, how do they do that?
Okay, so my Gmail is mortiferousarcadia@gmail.com. So that's mortiferousarcadia@gmail.com.
Do you want to just give us the titles of the other 2 books and very briefly about each one?
Okay, so my second book was called Pinky, and it was about women in abusive relationships and dangerous situations. So it was like loosely inspired on the urban legend from the Zulu culture called Pinky Pinky, basically a monster and evil spirit that targets young girls with a special attraction to those with pink underwear. Because when it started, there was a time when like young girls were disappearing, so it might have been why that legend came about. Sometimes like a lot of urban legends are created to scare kids into behaving or scare people into some way or another. The second story is Rufus the Clown, which is it takes a step away from the other 2. It's not horror or anything scary like that. It's an action comedy about a clown-themed superhero. So he's going around doing some good deeds. He has like wacky and cartoonish superpowers, but then he's completely oblivious to the fact that some people are actually scared of him because fear of clowns is very prominent. He's oblivious to it until later on.
Okay,
it's a very short read. So.
Okay then, Gift. Well, thank you very much for coming on. The very best of luck with the books as well.
Yeah. Just a quick shout out to my parents. I asked them to listen. They might not be, but just in case, my parents, some of my schoolmates and friends. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Do you want to give your parents' names? Just tell us their names.
Okay. My mom is Miyaba. My father is Emeka. He actually has the same name as me, but he tends to go by Emeka.
So you're, well, you more or less him, aren't you?
Essentially, I've been compared to him multiple times.
Right. Okay. Okay, Gift. Well, thanks very much for coming on, and that was Gift Enidijk on the line from Johannesburg in South Africa. Thanks very much for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.